Travis Wayne Goodsell. I'm going to need to be quick because of the technical difficulties I'm having in my new apartment, as I don't have a knowledge of the new technology to get things to work the way I want them to work, and I'm all by myself. I've been doing critical videos of the church for a number of years, and typically they are the popular videos of the year. Despite Elder Haney saying that I shouldn't criticize the prophets, I hold myself to the standard that the Book of Mormon teaches me. The Book of Mormon is the keystone of Joseph Smith's Mormonism. If it's the keystone, no one can contradict it. Not even President Russell M. Nelson. So Elder Haney was speaking false doctrine. Mormons must preach the Book of Mormon and the words of Joseph Smith, our founder. Anybody preaching anything else is not preaching Mormonism. They're preaching some other gospel. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is such a case. It is not Joseph's. The Book of Mormon is not for this church. They have culturally appropriated it from Joseph Smith and replaced the religion, the scriptures, and the Christ of Joseph Smith. And though most of you are new and are like, what? It's right there in the beginning of the Book of Mormon. It's after the learning of the Jews. Jesus is not the learning of the Jews, though the Jewish scriptures do include characters with the name Jesus. Jesus is the Greek form of the Hebrew Joshua. And so in the wrongly called by the Christian cultural appropriation Old Testament, there's the book of Joshua. That's the book of Jesus. It is a Hebrew word, a Hebrew name. And Christians culturally appropriated it and replaced it with a person as literal history. The scriptures are not literal history. Mr. Timeline insists that it's all as he says it was. But the Jews of this apostasy period, 70 to 140, as they were being scattered, were the ones who wrote the scriptures, even those in the culturally appropriated and renamed and replaced New Testament. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, and others refused to be included, are all Jewish scriptures, which means you have to use the learning of the Jews for your interpretation of them. And as you witnessed in conference today, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has replaced Christianity, which replaced the Jews. And so it's Mormon interpretation, the Church of Jesus Christ Mormonism, have replaced the interpretation of Christianity, which replaced the interpretation of the Jewish authors. This is what Joseph Smith called an abomination. And there were a couple who decided to misquote Joseph Smith and turn him Christian and saying that Jesus is his Christ. When Joseph Smith uses Jesus, and when the Book of Mormon uses Jesus, it's exactly like the Jews use Jesus, as a symbolic representation of their Christ, whose name Isaiah names Emmanuel. He is a mortal man, a human, with human parents, no immaculate conception. Easter is Christian, and so yes, it is false. Christianity should be destroyed. It was destroyed with the fall of the great and abominable Church of Constantine. That's why it's scattered all over the world, and over 1,000 different organizations, and even 1,000, maybe millions of different individual believers who don't want to have any part with organized religion, but still believe in Jesus. Christianity has fallen, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, having followed Christianity's example, is due to fall as well. Oh, that's been prophesied in the Book of Mormon and in Joseph Smith's scriptures, which he got from the Jewish apocalyptic literature. And so I will do little video segments when conference is all done and over with, to go over individual subjects. Conference wears me out, and we've just begun. We've only just begun, and so I have time constrictions to get out. But there's some doozies. But one of them that I will highlight is with also all comment reviews. I'll do comment review videos when conference is all said and done as well. So that'll happen afterward. I realize that there's enough now for a comment review. I've been typing it rather than using a notebook because I don't think I have one this time. I'd have to go find it if I do have it, if it survived the transfer to this new apartment. Yeah, the Young Women's President, Bonnie. Isn't it? Oh, no. This was Gary E. Stevenson, who brought up the Nephites touched Jesus. That's important because the Bonnie woman, where are you? Yeah, Young Woman's President Bonnie Cordon. She again brought up touching Jesus because he's physical, he's real. You're wrong, Travis. He was not created by Constantine. He's real. And so I even put, she's setting it up to fool Mormons into trusting that he is real and that Mormons will one day see him and touch him, and therefore they need to be obedient to the prophets and obedient to the church and go to the temple, which means pay your tithing. You can't be worthy unless you pay tithing. And so, yeah, I've got a Superman video, obviously. Superman was created by two Jews. Superman, therefore, is written in the learning of the Jews, just like the Book of Mormon. And so Superman's not real. You can't touch him. Oh, but we've seen him. He's real. Other people have touched him. In the historical documents of Galaxy Quest. Exactly. And so this is what they're pulling on you. They're pulling a Galaxy Quest con on you guys. And so the example she gave was that we need to look for Christ He is everywhere and in everything we do. And we can witness for ourselves. She sets us up to believe that we can touch him, and then dashes our hopes, bursts our bubble by saying, oh, it's a spiritual witness. Sorry, did I not mention that in the beginning? It's a con, people. There is mental manipulation in indoctrination. And I'll go more into that as I do videos after conference is over with. But yeah, understand that what they were doing to you was conditioning you, grooming you to use their Jesus Christ interpretation on everything. They did not refer to the Joseph Smith papers, which corrects our canon. They're still telling you to refer to the canon scriptures. They never mentioned going to the Joseph Smith papers to learn of the corrections that need to be made to any of it. Jesus did not appear to Joseph Smith, for one example. This is the lie that they are presenting to you. And so, like Haney was deceiving you with, you can criticize them, because by their fruits ye shall know them, and thus can judge them. Because you don't want to be deceived by a person who claims to be in a position of authority and claims to speak to Jesus when Jesus doesn't even exist to speak with in the first place. This is why I do my videos. I was Mormon, born and raised. I was fooled by the church because I was born and raised in the church. I'm kind of taken advantage of as a baby. And apparently, babies are accountable at birth. Did you catch that? So I guess we need to baptize babies now, because we usually wait until 8 years old, because that's when a child knows right from wrong, the light of Christ, to be held accountable. Now babies are held accountable. We're baptizing babies now. That's going to be a fun one. And Irene, oh, I'm going to have so much fun ripping him apart. He was probably talking about his daughter, who was the wayward woman. I met her at a talk that Irene gave. So, yeah, much more to come. But understand, they're grooming you. And if you're going to believe them, guess what they've done to you? They've weaponized you against people like me. I'm warning you of their danger. So for you to attack me makes you their weapon. And how is that love again? Yeah. But apparently ministering program is not working out well. As I knew after it had happened, after the change, I knew it was going to fail. They put new wine in old wineskin and expected it not to leak. Dumb, dumb, dumb. And I should also add, which I can redo the video as I've done this multiple times before, this is technically the 99th Annular General Conference. Heber J. Grant was the one who reincorporated the church in 1923 after the October conference that year. And so the April conference technically is the first conference of the incorporated church, reincorporated church. They didn't tell us that. They won't want to tell you that because they want to us to believe that it's a true succession, never been broken, even when the United States shut it down and disincorporated it. Have it cease to exist, except for the members who continued to live. And so, even though it's the 193rd, they are purposely leaving out the years where there were no conferences. They're claiming that there's been a conference, 2 conferences every year since then. since 1830. But it's interesting because this makes Heber J. Grant aware of the latter days. Because next year, for the last day of the latter days of the third day of darkness conference weekend, is going to be the 100th annular general conference. Don't want to get it confused with an annular solar eclipse, which is this year over Utah, which comes from the prophecy of the Jewish learning of the book of Samson. It's prophecy of the latter days. Another case in point. And so, 2024 is 100 years from the reincorporated church with their first general conference of that reincorporated church. So, again, they lie to us. And they lie to us because they don't want us to know the truth. Because if we knew the truth, we'd know that they're the great and abominable church. A false church with a false prophet and a false idol god, Christ. Learning of the Jews is so much different, and everything makes sense. Trust the Jews. Trust Joseph Smith. Because the keystone is the Book of Mormon. Do not stray from the Book of Mormon with the learning of the Jews.